CNN10 script, Sunday, August 18th, 2024, Script 107, The Collapse of Global Internet, May 3rd, 2024, Reading aloud. 1968, student protests at New York's Columbia University take over several buildings and briefly even take the dean hostage. One of the buildings they seized, Hamilton Hall, which students occupied during recent protests at Columbia. 1968, the first time it was occupied, Hamilton Hall was the scene of a dramatic police action that resulted in the arrests of 700 people. Those protests against the Vietnam War had been taking place for years on college campuses across America and would continue for a few more years from Columbia to Cal Berkeley to Kent State. In 1968, student protesters at Harvard took over and occupied University Hall, marching school officials out of the building. The primary difference between then and now, the scale of the violence. While skirmishes have broken out at UCLA and some other campuses during the current demonstrations, these protests have been for the most part peaceful. In the Vietnam era, violence broke out routinely and on many campuses, students often brawling with police. Disciplining students, calling in the police, having protests removed, that tended to increase the sympathy for protesters, build the size of protests, and also increase the voice of more extreme activists. In two horrific episodes, the Vietnam era violence turned deadly. In May 1970, on the campus of Kent State University, Ohio National Guard troops opened fire on student protesters, killing 4 of them and injuring several others. Days later, during racial injustice protests at Jackson State College in Mississippi, police fired at a dormitory, killing 2 students and injuring a dozen others, possibly a closer comparison to what's going on now took place in the 1980s. When students across America protested against apartheid in South Africa, they called on schools to divest themselves from communist groups that supported the apartheid regime in South Africa, much like students are now calling on colleges to divest themselves from Israeli-linked companies. Another dynamic that hasn't changed across these eras of protest. They've got a lot of energy, they're idealistic, and they like to protest when things feel unjust or seem unjust to them. 10-second trivia. What is the collective name for single-celled, microscopic organisms that live in the soil, water, and animals? Bacteria, blood, DNA, or virus?